Joining me right now with more on this budget, Republican Congressman from Florida, Francis Rooney. Good to see you, Representative. What do you think about the lack of interest in actually, reducing that deficit by a meaningful amount over the next 10 years?
Yeah, I don't think there's enough interest in avoiding spending and cutting programs anywhere in the federal government. Since in the year I've been around here, I've seen us spend a lot more money than I ever thought we would.
Yeah, that was supposed to change, though, right? I mean, part of what President Trump ran on was that he was going to be more disciplined, and he was going to force everyone else in Washington, D.C. to be more disciplined. Are we not seeing that discipline?
Well, I think there's some interesting things in here that are an improvement. He's talking about welfare reform to get people to work and to cut the cost of these bloated programs that tripled under President Obama, and at the same time using that money to help fund up the military so we can get our planes flying again.
Yeah, it's tricky. I want us to be safe. Everyone wants us to be safe. You got to be safe or else you have no country. So when it comes to military spending, I mean, that's one place where we need to make sure that we are doing all we can for our troops to make sure they are protected and we are protected. That said, Representative, you also need to make sure you're not, spending money needlessly. And we all remember the stories about, the crazy amounts of money that military sometimes spends on things because people aren't being fastidious about the details.
Yeah, I think the Washington Post ran an article here a couple of years ago saying there could be as much as $158 billion worth of waste in the Pentagon in its civilian employees. I'd like to see some of that looked into pretty seriously.
Do you think that Republicans are really giving up on this idea, though, of a balanced budget? I mean, is that the reality we're now facing?
Well, I certainly haven't, but it's going to take some major surgery. I mean, look at the number of people that have gone on disability in the last 8 or 10 years. It's mushroomed. Over 3 times as many people on food stamps as before President Obama became president. We've got to really pare some things back to make money, to save money to pay for the important priorities that we do need, like the military.
Why is that, Representative? I mean, why did it balloon so much? Did the standards change? Did people just opt to go out on disability because it was that hard to find a job and somehow that became an easier path?
Right. There have been some articles written recently calling the easier standard for disability, which was put in place a few years ago, as creating the new welfare.
The new welfare. Well, maybe we need to change those standards then for disability to make it a little tougher for people to opt out. We're going to market. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, especially since the workplace has continued to get safer and safer every year. So it doesn't make any sense.
Let me ask you about infrastructure. We've got a market that's up almost 500 points. We're near the highs of the session right now, Representative, and investors seem to be reacting very well to this plan.
Well, I think it's a great idea to leverage private capital, to leverage state and local capital, to simplify red tape and devolve decision-making down to where the projects are going to be built and executed. Those are pretty interesting ideas, and it could do a lot to get more things under construction sooner.
Sooner, and therefore more people to work, more people participating in the economy, and therefore beneficial for everyone.
And see, we have the penultimate infrastructure project in Southwest Florida called the Everglades Wetlands, and we're building a lot of projects there that we hope we can speed up and get the restoration projects completed quicker.
Congressman Rooney, what do you anticipate other Republicans doing about this particular budget? I mean, especially your concerns, and I imagine some other folks' concerns that it's not going to do enough to address the bloated spending we have and the deficit that keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Well, I hope everybody is going to focus on these cost reduction aspects of the budget, like the welfare reform, like parental choice and competition in education, speeding up VA claims, a lot of those kinds of things that ought to make the government more efficient.
All right. We'll see if it happens. Thank you so much, Congressman Rooney. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me on again.